Hey guys, thank you for joining us for the final lesson of this tapping technique series. I'm Josh Cohen, and I'm going to walk you through this today. And if you're coming to this lesson via YouTube, be sure to go to the description, and you're going to see a link for the No Treble article, which has a lot of the tablature and notation of what we're going to be working on. So today we're going to look into developing simultaneous chordal and bassline accompaniment. And this is like a really great thing to be used either in a solo context or a small ensemble. One thing that comes to mind is if you're in a trio with, let's say, a drummer and guitarist, and the guitarist is going to take a solo, it could be a useful skill to know how to play chords and bass lines simultaneously. Not to knock on any kind of fingerstyle kind of stuff that you could do. It's just another option if it's something that you might enjoy. Now, to begin to understand and get into this, it's good to know how to create what we call shell voicings, which are made up of the root, the third, and the seventh of our most common chords. The ones that are diatonic to the major scale are major 7 chords, minor 7, dominant 7, and minor 7 flat 5 chords. Sorry about that. I will turn that off. Apologies for that. So what we're going to do is we'll go through those. So the first one in Figure 1 is a C major 7 chord. And it's made up of a root, a third, a fifth, and seventh, no alterations. 1, 3, 5, 7. Well, what we could do is take our right hand, and we're going to tap the third and the seventh, and then the root with our left hand. And you'll see that as the first example there in Figure 1. Minor 7, the right hand just has to go down 1 fret to give it a flat third, E flat, and a B flat, which is the flat 7th. Okay? And minor 7 flat 5 is going to be the same thing because we are not playing the 5th, and that's the only difference between a minor 7 and a minor 7 flat 5 is the 5th. So, won't be relevant to that voicing. And a C7, so your dominant chords are root, third, fifth, flat 7, do-do-do-da. And once again, we're going to take our left hand. Sorry, this is right-centric, so if you are left-handed, you got to reverse everything. I apologize for that. You're going to take your left hand and tap the root, C, and then your right hand can tap your third, which is E, but it's a flat 7, so it's going to be B flat. Your first and second finger. So the next thing you want to do is be able to play those all over the bass, and you can go through the cycle of fourths, which would be C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and so on and so forth. If you don't know what the cycle of fourths are, there's plenty of resources online, and you can check that out. It's a great way of working on any musical concept. Is force yourself to play it in every key, and you'll definitely learn a lot from that. So you could take something like E. So that'd be E major 7, E minor 7, E minor 7 flat 5, same thing in this case, and then dominant 7th. So you figure them all out, and then you got to know that the thirds and the sevenths can also be inverted. So before, our 7th was on top, but the voicing could also have the third on top, okay? And that's going to be a little bit different. And in Figure 2, you'll see those possibilities. So for C major 7, and if your bass doesn't go up to the 21st fret and it ends at the 20th fret, you can try this in a different key. It's just good to be aware of these possibilities. So C major 7, and drop the right hand down a semitone. C minor 7. C dominant 7, okay? Might be going through some of this a little fast, and that's why it's good just to pause the video and then just check out the written page there as well. So now that you have like a handle of this and how to tap these shell voicings all over the bass, it's time to learn about something we call harmonic continuity or voice leading when applying them to common chord progressions. Now, the idea behind harmonic continuity is that the voices within a chord move as little as possible to go from one chord to the next. Now, this isn't a rule that always applies, but it's something to be able to do and be aware of, and it usually works to your advantage. Now, very, very common classic chord progression is the 2-5-1. So in C major, it's going to be D minor 7 to G7 to C major 7. Okay? And in figure 3, you're going to see a voicing that does that. Now, the idea is if you look at that figure 3, you're going to see that the third of the D minor 7 chord, the F, stays for the G7 and then goes to the E for the C major 7, okay? And so you have to start thinking about, hey, what are those degrees of each chord? And then say, okay, well, that sounds a lot better than having something that goes here and then goes here and then a lot of jumping. This is a lot better motion. The lower voice going. So once again, this is something that you could really stand to benefit from if you play it in lots of keys, getting aware of that 2-5-1. If we had a 2-5-1 in F, it could be like this. Okay, now next is to add some movement in the lower register. So in the bass, we can add a bass line, and a very good place to start with is a walking bass line, okay? So this is obviously very common in jazz and blues, and the good thing about it is rhythmically it's very simple. At least in your standard walking line, it's just simply iterating the pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for those who are already very familiar with this, this is going to be very simple, but maybe you've never tapped it before. And the key is, if you're going to use these shell voicings and try to produce a walking bass line, you just got to make sure that your walking bass line isn't using the same strings being tapped on with your right hand. So with a 4-string bass, if you're tapping those chord tones on the D and the G string, you want to have your bass line only be using the E and the A string. That way, it's not being canceled out, because you can only play one note per string. So here's an example, a line that works. Sorry. And that's in figure 4. So if I play it exactly as is, very simple on the right hand. And you want to practice that until you can count out loud while you're doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that really just shows that you've then done the work in terms of coordination. When you can count, then you're at the point when you don't have to think about it so much, and you can start adding some rhythm. Okay, once again, we keep going back to this trope, playing that through 12 keys, working that out, very, very helpful in terms of your understanding and the physical mechanics of this. So, furthermore, we can work on longer chord progressions and add rhythm to our right-hand part. Okay, that's sort of what I was starting to do there. And so, the end of this lesson, I've included figure 5 as just a common jazz progression. It might come from a particular tune, which I will not name, but it's actually very common in I think, several jazz chord progressions. And so this little arrangement, it uses these shell voicings, uses a walking bass line. It can all be played on a 4-string bass, and it uses some rhythm. It's not just playing whole notes and half notes. All right, so I'll play that for you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the idea is try to learn this verbatim, and it's not about it being a performance piece. It's more about going through that process, and hopefully it'll highlight some things for you to try in your own arrangements. And whatever those situations that come up, this is just a concept, and you can take it anywhere. And now's the time. It's the pandemic, and this is a great time to keep practicing. So, good luck, and happy practicing.